Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today for a video that I have not wanted to make at all. I've been dreading it, I've been avoiding it, but destiny has arrived all the same. Five Nights at Freddy's. I was 14 when the first game came out, and I actually greatly enjoyed it. I thought it was an interesting new take on what was indie horror at the time. One man kind of made the biggest horror franchise on the PC market, and I think that's really impressive. The gameplay was really well engineered. Your character can't move. All you can do is look at cameras, turn on lights, and close doors. That's how you survive for 6 hours. And it ends up being about a 45-minute play, if you play it all straight through and you're still learning how to play the game. But, every night gets more and more difficult, but you never get any more power. Power is essential when it comes to a horror thing because the player should not have the most power in the scenario. The player should have no power in the scenario. So them not giving you any more power is kind of symbolic of the way that they made the game in the first place. They being Scott Cawthon. He did it by himself. But the thing is, beyond just the gameplay, the story at that time was actually really interesting. Because all we knew was that these kids had been killed by being stuffed into suits, and from there we theorized that the souls haunt the suits, and that's why they walk around. It has nothing to do with their servos locking up if they're off for too long. But it was interesting because then people like Matt Pat and I have no idea who else, but they were just theory crafting for months at a time. It was really cool. Then, as the games continued on, not only did the story get more convoluted, the gameplay got more contrived and obnoxiously difficult for no actual reason. By the time you get to Five Nights at Freddy's 2, now there's suddenly a third restaurant, and there's another yellow suit, and there's other kids that got killed, and there's all these new things that don't make any sense, but they have to tie together somehow, eventually. So what do you have to do? You have to wait for the next game for the story to be continued so that you have a place of understanding. Then the gameplay was still very... They tried to make it interesting by not having any doors you could close, but that just made it really obnoxious because now you have the music box to worry about, and you're flipping your mask off and on and all this stuff, and there's just animatronics coming in the room, messing up your style and ease. So when it came to Golden Freddy mode on that game, it was just really difficult, really obnoxious. I did play the second one. I'm not speaking from just watching Let's Plays. I also played the third game, another one that I really didn't like. Not only did the story get even more convoluted because now it's 30 years in the future, but the gameplay is just so ridiculous. Like, it's almost like he thinks that giving you more to focus on makes for a better game. And that's not how it works, not even a little bit. And unfortunately, he never quite got that on his own. But now the story is that the purple guy was wearing a yellow suit and lured the kids to their deaths, and I have no idea. I'm really not the guy to ask when it comes to these stories. But skipping over 4, because 4. I hated the way that they did the story in that game. Now there's a different kid, and that kid is the marionette. And no, he's not, because actually a girl is the marionette. This kid is Golden Freddy. All these new things. The gameplay, whatever, who cares? But the story is just so frustrating. I never cared too much about needing all the answers so that I could put the story together. But the more these games come out, the more Scott seems to rock himself to sleep on the idea that people are staying up until 7 a.m. drinking copious amounts of espresso, trying to put together a story that was never meant to be completed. Scott doesn't know this story. He's just throwing in new hints that kind of seem like they tie together so that people like Matt Pat will be up until the cows come home trying to piece this thing together. I mean, why do you really think that Scott said, "Hey, Matt, that's actually a pretty good point. You're almost right on to what I was saying earlier." I really wish. There we go. You're almost exactly right on what I was trying to come up with. No, he wasn't. Scott was just throwing him a bone so that Matt would keep making theories, so that people would keep playing the game, so that Scott would keep making money. That's why he keeps making these games. 4 was supposed to be the last one. 5 was supposed to be the last one. 6 was supposed to be the last one. But now here we are at Ultimate Custom Night, And you would think it's just a fun little arcade thing, but no. When some of the characters kill you, sometimes they say really, really interesting things that seem to tie the stories together even more coherently. He has no intention of telling you a complete story. He's become Ubisoft. He doesn't care about the story. He cares about continuing to make games. This is not the last game, and you all know it. He's going to probably 10, because why not? He can keep throwing in vague hints and releasing new books, and people will keep trying to figure out what it all means. What's the bite of 83? The bite of 87? Who's this girl? He's wearing stripes! It doesn't matter. It never did. The first game was great, and I also really enjoyed Sister Location because it changed up the formula of the gameplay. The gameplay wasn't the original type of Five Nights at Freddy stuff unless you got that secret ending with Ennard where he's coming after you. But Sister Location also changes the story a lot because now the purple guy's trying to create life in the animatronics because one killed his daughter. And that's just really contrived, really convoluted. Maybe I'm just really cynical, but I think that's really lazy and stupid because, whatever, I'm not going to talk about that right now. Then you have the sixth game, where it's like, oh, I was hoping you would get all the animatronics into this one place so I could set them on fire and release their souls. Who are you? Are you Henry? No, I'm pretty sure Henry's dead. That's the thing. They always add these new people to the story, these new elements, but it doesn't add up because of the last thing that it told you. If you've read all the books and you've played all the games and you have multiple different canons and you're not sure what's actually accurate to the universe of Five Nights at Freddy's. Well, lucky for you, Toxic Touch Productions here, I've got the ultimate solution. None of it matters. There's no point in trying to put together the story. Alright? Scott doesn't care about the story. You shouldn't care about the story. At the end of the third game, it seemed nice enough. It seemed coherent. If you really pieced things together, if you took notes and you stayed up all night, you could have gotten somewhere. But now there's too many books, too many games. There's no way to connect all this stuff accurately to the point where even MatPat has given up. And yes, we made MatPat quit. High five, everybody. But all in all, Five Nights at Freddy's started out as a really neat, really interesting, unique idea, but oversaturation killed it like it kills anything, really. And that's not just me being cold-hearted, it's just the fact. I've played almost all these games, and I've just gotten more and more frustrated as time goes on. And frankly, I want nothing more to do with the series. I'm not even watching Markiplier play Ultimate Custom Night, because it's just, what's the point? Scott made it impossibly difficult so that people would stream it, so that people would go buy it, so that he would make more money. He's never beaten that mode, and nobody ever will. Don't buy into him, I guess. I don't know what the moral of the story is. But that's pretty much all I wanted to say. That's like my rant and review, I guess, about the Five Nights at Freddy's series as a whole. If you agree with me, let me know in the comments. If you're 10 years old and you think I'm stupid, let me know in the comments. Thanks for liking, subscribing if you're new, and sharing this around with all your friends. I'll see you tomorrow.